You to go in and purchase it.
There'll be a link on YouTube/Streamily to purchase a signature from one of us who are here, even remotely, or to just flat out donate. It don't make no difference, man. We just want to help Jimmy and his wife.
I think you should say that again, Rob. Rob, go through that all again. It was hard to understand.
Thank
Why
you.
doesn't Dave do it?
Yeah,
Let's let
absolutely,
Dave do it.
guys.
This
This
is
is
the
kind of,
boss.
see,
I'm
Rob's
happy.
not a good actor.
So-
Hi,
Dave.
I'm
He
not.
needs
I'll
line
pop in
reading,
on
so-
camera here, guys. And I just want to say that what this is a benefit for Jim Ward. We've gathered the all-stars from Biker Mice from Mars to come in. We have got original cells from the series that are autographed from every cast member that are listed on this website. So if you're joining us from YouTube, the link is in that description. If you're joining us from Rob's Instagram, head over to YouTube, youtube.com/Streamily, where you can see the rest of the stream. We've got the all-star cast and creators here with us. There's plenty of prints, original cells that are autographed. These gentlemen here are going to be autographing live on camera for you, showing you their autographs, which we are going to send right to your front door. And join us on youtube.com/Streamily and have some fun, all for a good cause. This is going to Jim Ward to help them with the situation that they're in. So
Every nickel.
every nickel,
Every
yeah,
nickel.
Absolutely.
And Streamily is STREAMILY.
yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go to the link directly, it's simply streamily.com/Biker Mice from Mars, and pick
Cool.
out anything you want there. It'll be autographed or will be autographed live, or you can simply donate. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you, folks.
See,
All right.
see, Rob,
Thank
that's how you do it.
I
See,
know, I'm
Rick
not-
Unger and I are going out right now with a reboot of Biker Mice. We're trying to sell it. I think we found our new throttle.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, because I mean, Rob just showed the whole world that if we don't put words in his mouth,
Line
Right.
reading.
it doesn't go so well. Now, actually, I'm going to tell everybody watching a very funny story, and
Please.
Rob knows this is true. Rob's ad libs during recording sessions were so amazing and made the script so much better that I used to offer him writer credits, which he wouldn't take.
Oh, that's
Oh.
They're watching Peppa Pig, and I'm like, oh, it's Morgan. He was.
Wait, is Morgan on Peppa Pig?
That's got to be him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All the times I've watched that with my grandkids. All right, so wait a second. If we're going to tell behind the scenes stories, let me tell.
show something. Let me interrupt for a
Oh,
second.
go ahead.
Kind of thing we're selling of Morgan. This is Limburger, of course. We have a bunch of these. If anybody wants them, we've got some real nice ones here. And so
Oh, he was so talented. I'm so sorry
Oh,
to
he
hear
was
that he's
great.
passed. Really,
Yeah.
such a genuinely.
All right. So
Warm.
I gotta tell why we kept Ian in the cast. Yeah, he was okay playing his
What?
role and all that. But if y'all remember at the time we were making Biker Mice, 90210, man, that was it. I mean, Ian was a freaking god. Everybody on that show was
Hold on.
just so, was so hot. And number one, Ian used to bring them in and make them cast members. That was number one. I mean, God
You
bless,
used me for my
Thank you.
contacts.
but that was nothing. I mean, God bless Luke Perry and gosh, Jenny Garth did parts. I mean, we had all these people, but what Ian would really do, we all couldn't wait for recording sessions because Ian would start each one off giving us the latest gossip
Oh, yeah. That's
about Shannon Doherty.
Ah,
And we lived for that gossip.
it continues yet today.
And speaking of,
And it continues today.
This is Luke's character.
and we actually designed his hair and his face after Luke himself. He was a great
Yeah.
sport on thing. My favorite story of Ian was Shannon Doherty. We had to work this Friday night, real late recording.
Yeah.
Usually you do it during the day because, actors are special. They have to go home and take saunas and stuff.
Of course.
And so we were in there and we come in
They
and
have
he stops
union
recording at the
contracts.
beginning. He goes, I want all of you to know why you're here tonight. I want you to know this. And we're all, yeah. He goes, Shannon, Shannon, that's why we're here tonight. You're working late. You go right here if you have any problems with this. So it was, we always get that stuff, like Rick would say.
Yeah, we got great 90210 gossip.
Before I boogie out of here, I got to tell you this one story that still, there were some moments that have jumped into my core memories, like when Rob would walk in cross-eyed intentionally cross-eyed, and he'd look at me and he'd look at his other eye and he'd say, "Who's your friend?"
Uh,
I still laugh. Rob, I still hope that joke is evergreen. It's so goddamn funny
Everybody?
that I do that also today with my kids. They laugh. There was a moment where Brad Garrett
Yeah, where
would
is
look
Garrett?
over. Brad Garrett, monster of a man, as heart as big as he is.
Yes.
So talented, such a deep voice. He would bring it in, and one day I'm doing my work, and right free citizens, and he says, "Ian, why do you look so sad?" And Brad? What? I'm not sad. I'm having a great time. Are you kidding? I get to work with you guys. It's great. Blah blah. We go a little more, and again he stops. His Ian, seriously, tell me, why do you look so sad? And I don't know what you're talking about, Brad. I'm like the happiest guy in the room. Are you kidding? I'm working, having a great time. Everything's good. Why do you say that? And he goes, and we continue to voice some more dialogue. And then he puts his thing down. He says, "Show me on the dolly where the bad man touched you." Do you remember that, Dorian? You were there. You heard all that.
Totally remember that.
Oh, God.
It's like
All right, I've got a
the
couple.
craziness.
We're just,
Nuts.
this is how we're doing this, folks. I just want to show you guys. The first one that I did is for our friend Erica. Erica, you asked for it. This is, okay, so it says, "To Erica, rock and ride, throttle." All right, it's on its way to you, sweetie. And then we put the number on the back, and it will be, Dave handles everything. It's quite seamless. It'll show up at your door. We're looking for Melissa, who wanted, Melissa wanted this one. And yeah, so I did the same for you, Melissa. Okay, it's on its way. Melissa Espitia. And then we have another one for John. John wanted an Animaniacs one. So we got that too. Hello, John. That's right there. Okay. And then Michelle and David wanted one with Rob and all the other characters.
Great.
Okay, so that's how this is happening. And then whenever Ian or Dorian or Will or Rick or Tom take a moment, we want to make sure that you guys see that we're signing these in real time so that there ain't nothing going on but the straight up. All right. And so we're moving on. Forgive me for interrupting, Z, but I just want to.
No, it's okay. I want to let people know that all the photos that are purchased there today are going to be sent to me. I don't have them in front of me, but I will take pictures of me signing them just to make sure they're authentic and there's no question as to who signed it. But just know that I love you guys. This is a real tough day for me. I got some responsibility with my kids, but I'm so happy to be here, even for just a few minutes, to see all your beautiful faces and spend some time. I think we should do this maybe in person, like over dinner one night. I would love that. I'll host it in my house. And
show again.
Yeah.
And so if there's anything, we're trying, God knows we're trying. But if you want anything from Ian, I'm going to put him on the spot, and I say, I'll personally drive over to Ian's house, and he'll let me in the back door again when nobody's looking. And I'll come in and get the stuff signed. And so anything that we have, anything you want, if Rick is signing autographs, Rick Unger's signing autographs.
I've got a bunch here.
If anybody's misguided enough to want my autograph, I'll sign them. Dorian, hold up your print.
Oh, this
Dorian's
is my
got these
print.
prints that he'll sign as requested.
This is my print.
That's what
Can you
Rick's
see it?
selling. And also grab
I
that,
don't know if
Rob.
you can see
Grab
it.
that, Rob.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Is that the
Rob
camera?
also
Can you
played
see
a
that?
character called Fred the Mutant.
Yeah, I was this guy right here.
Fred the Mutant.
Yes.
Rob can sign these, and then we can get Jeff Harnell, who is unfortunately can't be here today. We have prints signed by him of Evil Eye, or by Evil Eye Weevil. And he also played Grease Pit because Brad was real busy last time we had him in a couple episodes on the reboot. So we'll get these signed too, okay? So
Yeah.
we've got more stuff here than you could possibly want. And this is a pretty cool thing, and it's a great cause.
Yeah, it is.
Great cause.
How to do this.
Guys, I'm going to jump. Thanks so much. Let me know. I'm looking forward to getting all the pictures out to those that are interested in purchasing them. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Z. Good to see you, brother.
Great to
Take
see you
care.
guys too. Take care. Bye, everybody.
And then this is her personal message to
So I'll
you.
write something that.
My my
Okay.
favorite
And then the
Brad
number
Garrett
3,
story,
You write that on the
because
back.
Ian was
on the
telling
back
it,
of
was
the print. That's
Stu
it?
Rosen was the voice,
then I
original
put it
voice
up to
director on the
show that
series,
I've signed it.
and I did
The only man who could fall asleep during the
Yeah,
voice.
I remember that.
But
Reflection of our
Boom.
he passed a while ago, but he was there and he was
Who's that?
instrumental in
Stu.
casting this show.
Oh, yeah.
He really was,
Yeah.
and pulling the
Tell
script
me.
together. But he was there when he's directing Brad Garrett, and we had written an episode where Grease Pit was supposed to be a comedian and do a stand-up act, and that was part of it. And what happened is, Stu Rosen is directing him and directing him and directing him. No, do it like this, Brad. Do it like that, Brad. Well, Brad was a stand-up comedian. At some point, Brad stops, and goes, Stu, do you really think I need this direction? And so Stu kept that was, and Brad knows how to do this stuff. And Stu was in there jumping in, couldn't help himself. So we just told him, have another donut and let Dorian do what he wants, Brad. I mean, let Brad do what he wants.
I'll tell you, Brad's an interesting case. Everybody who was working on the show had already had a pretty good career. Rob was always busy. Dorian was all over TV. Ian was on 90210. And Brad was like just getting started. Look what happened to Brad. Amazing.
And he was a prince for this. I mean, he
Yeah.
signed things. He was glad. He still remembers. He said it was one of the most fun things he's done. Everybody's really cooperating on this, but yeah, we had a really spectacular cast on this show. So
We did.
just like that, this is a rare opportunity. So anything you want, fans, jump in.
I should check and see if I have any new, if I've run out of family members or if there's still people looking for my autograph.
If I could, I want to jump in about Will Anderson, the composer who's on this
Yes.
somewhere.
We should have him signing the album.
How Biker Mice came to be, the show came together was, I was at Marvel, I was producing a special and finishing up the show I was doing, and Rick came in and took it over. And all of a sudden I got this order, it's pretty much last producer standing in the studio to come in on Saturday, and we were gonna come up with a promo film. So what I did is Will Anderson had done a track for the show, the opening title music. And I do what I always do on a show. I drove around the city listening to it and listening to it and listening to it until I formed this image. I came in and pitched it to Rick, and Rick liked it. And that's what became the main title of the show. That became the promo he used to sell it. And Will was the genesis of that. Without his
Yeah, man.
music,
That's
I
right.
couldn't fashion that.
Rick, I remember you calling me and saying, I've listened to this 27 times. Is that you said, how did you just nail this?
It's true. You really did. I mean, I did listen to it 27 times because I expected, I didn't know what I was doing yet either, and I probably still don't. But I thought, all right, there's a process here and it's going to take a while. But the fact is, you really did get it on the very first try.
And then Tom just that promo killed. The promo killed.
Well, Tom's part was a little weak, which was sort of the way he usually was. I had to carry him.
I
But,
don't
you
he
know,
got
everybody
he got
else.
everything out of that. Every single thing.
And
That promo was an awesome
Yeah.
promo.
I think it's the best promo I've ever done. We killed it. We killed
It
it.
was good.
Oh, you may have
okay,
sent it
okay.
to-
You guys,
probably
I'm
sent
sorry to
it to
interject. I just want to show the next two
STC,
victim,
though.
clients. This is for Barbie. Barbie, you asked for a throttle picture.
Yeah.
There it is right there, my friend. And the Cooper family. Rock and ride, Cooper family. It's on its way to you today. So please chat amongst
put in-
yourselves. I'm taking care of business. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're taking care of business. What have I got here? Oh,
And-
believe it or not, I have one I have to make out to Charlie.
Good.
Where's Charlie?
There's an actor who's here today and they call.
Next time.
It's
Charlie.
Yeah, we missed her, but you know what, Charlie? Charlie became a father last week.
Woo-hoo.
Congrats to Charlie.
applause,
Any
Charlie.
words of encouragement would be great. Well, here's what I'll say, Charlie. Forget that you ever liked sleeping for a while. That's the best I can do for
That's
you.
encouraging.
I
Well
mean,
done.
Behind the scenes thing of how Lisa Miller became Charlie in the first 65 is we were trying to cast Charlie, and we had great actresses auditioning for us.
so that's after
Like
I
if
show
nothing
it.
else, Nancy Cartwright. Lisa's
Sure.
sister.
Yeah.
She
Alright.
came in,
Sorry, I'm
and they were
such a
all great,
novice
but
at
I was
this.
looking for some different kind of voice quality and something different. And I happened to be producing a show for McDonald's called Magic Paintbrush Special. And I walked in just to act like a big,
Who else was producing that?
oh, it's probably Stu Rosen.
Oh.
No, it was Rick Unger.
Can I swear on this?
But what happened is I happened to go up into the recording session of the songs, just to be a big shot or something. I don't even know what I was doing there. And she was singing this. She was singing, and I talked to her afterwards. I go, I really like
She
your.
was in Brazil 77.
Yeah, she was in
88, right?
Sergio Mendes. Or
Sergio
something.
Mendes.
Sergio Mendez, Brazil
Never let-
66.
I said, why don't you come in and try out? I like your voice. She got the part. Now, the whole purpose of that story is to tell any aspiring actors, anybody that's looking at this as career, go to Rob for career guidance, but you just never know. You never know
Amen.
how it'll happen. So keep yourself
True.
open. Fans, try your stuff. Never take no for an answer, because that literally, she had no reason to expect she would end up doing 65 episodes because she was singing back up in a song that I happened to walk into the studio.
Hey, Rob, are you still doing the road show?
We are. We were just in Phoenix 2 weeks ago, and we're going to be in New York,
When?
and Long Island, and DC in January. So if you want to
Oh,
come,
awesome.
bring any of your friends or kids. By the way, our lovely friend Rick Unger came out to see Randy and I do Animaniacs in concert at Joe's Pub.
Well, it wasn't exactly at Shore. The show's great.
Well,
I had a
thank you.
blast.
That's very kind of you. Yeah, in fact, we're doing it. We're going to be in Lynchburg, Virginia, in October, and then we pretty much decided to wait till the beginning of the year. So, for those of you who are interested, go to animaniacslive.com, and you'll see all the ticket information. We're doing DC, Long Island, and New York. Well, Connecticut, New York, and DC in the same weekend in January, Rick. So if you're interested, I'll
Well, you know, especially if you're coming to Long Island, I'll be there.
yeah, we'll be there.
I'll
So-
probably have to pay for the tickets again
no.
because,
Listen,
you know,
I
I
already bought
mean,
my house. I
Twice
figure
as
it's fair.
Double price, double price.
By the way, here's another one. Art, this is for you, my friend. Rock and Ride. You're number 235, but number 1 in our programs and our hearts.
And Dorian, why don't you hold up what you're signing, our silent
Yeah.
guy over here?
Oh, I'm just
yeah, Dorian, say
I'm just
something,
learning.
damn it.
I'm just learning this, Rick. I
We're
mean,
not paying you just to sit there,
you're not
Dorian.
paying me, period.
There you go. We're gonna
You
do that.
you can finish that.
Let's truncate
You
this.
can finish that sentence right
You know,
now. Anyway,
But-
uh,
Oh, go on, why don't you show him it,
I'm
Dorian.
learning how to do this. So Dave showed me how to do it. So I got this request from Shanice. And
There you
she
go.
says, Moto, thank you for doing this. I'm a teacher, so times right now are super stressful. Any sort of inspirational words from you would make my life. So I'm signing it.
This
with-
is volume 1.
I try, yeah. I tried it with the gray. I don't know if the gray is the way to go, but anyway, this is what I have. I'll show it to you and then I'll read it because you won't be able to read it this way. There you are, Shanice.
Oh, there's a good moto shot too. Wow.
Dorian
Yeah.
writes by the pound.
There you are,
Yeah,
Shanice.
well
Yeah.
said.
I'm just learning here.
Yeah.
So Shanice, just in case you can't read it, it says, Shanice, thank you so much for the work you're doing as a teacher. Teachers are the best.
Amen.
Peace.
Amen.
Bravo.
All right.
Do we know where Shanice teaches by any chance? What city? Did she tell you?
I would
Let's
assume she
see.
teaches children. but-
Thank you. Where?
I got it.
Where, not what.
Oh, I got it. Got it. I'm sorry.
I don't see what it
Didn't
is.
say? Okay, just curious.
No. But it's coming to you, and I guess I'm supposed to write the number 3 on the
Yeah,
back of
write
this
the- Write
thing.
the number back. And then by the way, here's
With-
another one
with-
for
with
this one is from
Something that you
Terry.
can see, I guess.
There you go, Terry. You asked for it. You got it, my
That's not
friend.
a good one.
On its way. Thank you
You,
so much.
you know, it's fantastic, aside from getting to hang out with all you guys again. When you look at the notes that these folks who are asking for autographs are leaving,
Isn't it great?
really makes you feel good. I
Right.
mean,
Touch a lot of lives there.
You know,
yeah, you
Yeah, yeah.
realize the impact.
the
Yeah.
thing that is, I'm so glad you
Let me
brought
look
that
this
up
one out
because
there.
the folks who are following,
Let me sit it over
who
here.
have been kind enough to do this
Okay.
with me before, and of course, Rick, when Randy and I get to go to Animaniacs in concert, we often do
Right.
a meeting afterwards. And you are 100% correct. The extent to which these characters connect with people, I'm talking about it, their souls, Rick.
I know.
We don't draw, look, I make it very clear. I don't draw them. I don't write them. I'm good at my job, but I freaking well ought to be, you know? But when it works, man, it works on a level that is so profoundly deep. And people are taking their time, their money, and writing some very powerful stuff with respect to their requests
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because they want to.
it's really nice.
to do it. It's a big deal what you and Tom have done. It really is.
Well, you know, there's something about this, and look, I mean, I've made a lot of cartoon television shows, but I've never had one that was so personal to me because this was really my first one, and trying to make it happen was crazy. But I'll tell you what, I still look back on it, and aside from the fact that I'm not sure I ever regained all my energy from that process, of all the crazy things I've been fortunate enough to get to do, nothing has meant as much as this show.
It shows. It
It's-
shows. It was made, you know what? And the stuff that, when we had so much fun doing the show, and your kind words about my ad libs notwithstanding, I think regardless of whether or not something that Ian and Dorian and I, Jess, Tom, all of us may have come up with, just the creative, excited, but primarily joyful energy ends up on the screen, man. Whether or
It
not
does.
ad lib ends up on the script, it ends up on the screen in the guise of just general positive creative energy.
Yeah.
And you guys fostered that every recording session.
Well,
I
look
found out
at
how you get a good performance from actors. First of all, everybody has to realize actors are inherently insecure, right, Dorian? Okay.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I've
what do you
never
mean,
said
what do you
that.
mean by that?
and Dorian was by far the
director-
most
my director
secure of
said-
anybody in that room.
So my direction would be, okay, we do it, and then I would just sit there, I'd listen to what they do, and I'd go to Dorian, I'd go, "Mhm." And then Dorian would do it again, and then Rob would go, and he'd scramble into some ad lib. Ian would start shouting. It's like, you know, if that's, you want people to make it their own idea, you motivate them, like I always go, like the guy out of Amadeus, like, "Mhm."
Mhm. You gonna really
If that's
do it
what you
like
want to
that?
do.
Yeah, now do it the way
But
we're
see now,
gonna do it.
but Dorian was always the one that fascinated me because Dorian is very kickback, right? I mean, he doesn't put on a show in that room, and then you would listen back to the tapes and you'd go, was there ever anybody else on the planet that could have played this character? And the answer was no,
Not at
there
all.
wasn't. It had to be Dorian Harewood.
Mm.
So much
Yeah,
fun.
we were so excited when he was cast because we go, you mean the guy that Stanley Kubrick killed off?
Yeah, that's
That's right.
right.
That's right.
Whoa.
That's right, baby.
I remember being, he knows Stanley Kubrick. Holy shit.
You only hired him because they hung out with Kubrick for a year.
Yeah, right.
I remember going to Rob and go, Rob, a real
A
actor.
real actor.
A real actor.
Might act like an
This is
actor.
the superstar. This is who I wanted to work with.
This
This
is,
is Rob.
hang on
But,
just a second,
Rob.
let me get-
Well, I got to tell you, Rob comes on my radio show every now and then. Okay. Last time, who'd you come on with? It was Pinky and the Brain. You were-
Maurice,
Right, with Maurice, because
Maurice.
your new show was launching.
Sunday,
And
yeah.
I got to tell you something. I get some pretty big name political types on my radio show. It's a political show. Nobody gets the feedback the way Rob does.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that right?
And I'm not.
Oh
surprised.
yeah, people
Right,
go
right.
crazy.
I'm telling you.
They all want to know how I got you booked.
Thank you. What's that?
Okay, here's something special that we have for this.
Oh, good.
Okay, what it is a guy that was on a number of our shows through the years, or a few of them, has signed a print of a character he played for Biker Mice. And what we're doing on this is we're going to have an auction. What are you calling it?
I think what we can do is we can do a donation.
A donation,
Yeah.
donation. The best donation gets, it's signed by Mark Hamill.
Woohoo!
Oh, who?
And
The
it's-
Joker.
Who? The Joker? Who?
And it's a character he played,
Good for you.
Mark played a couple of characters.
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he played Lectromag. He still
Yeah.
remembers that he bitches at me endlessly about where's his toy.
I might have one. If I do, it's his.
No, it's never gonna find it.
But this is
Really?
Pierre Fluffbottom. He did a French accent. And so this is something for the best donation.
Yeah.
This is
Top
yours.
donation, 500.
Okay?
Good for you, buddy.
Very cool.
And so
Good one.
Thank you, Mark.
there's all of that.
Here are a couple others. Ken, here's your print, my friend. Yes, you want a throttle print and it's on its way. And Xander, yep, Xander, here's yours. Throttle. It's the only character in which I'm really badass. Pretty much everything else is me. It's actually me looking for a croissant.
You know what this whole thing just reminded me of? When I go to autographs things for My Little Pony, and Tara Strong's there. And the line for Karen and Lauren is out the friggin' door in 100 yards. And I'm sitting there, right, at my table all alone. And just kind of like, da, 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 da. Same thing here.
But
Well,
let's make sure
kind of
people,
what
but
I-
let's make sure people understand, Will, you may not get the autograph request, you get all the money.
That's true.
Yeah,
Back end dough, baby, especially for that title song.
that's
Uh,
right.
Speaking of
That's it.
Speaking of which, in the second iteration of Biker Mice, I decided in the fit of ego, and because there was nobody to stop me, and Rick was too lazy to stop me, I wrote a rock opera.
Oh, I
Okay, so-
remember.
22 minutes, and I got endless grief about it, especially when they started telling me how much residuals overseas cost
Yeah.
to sing. But I just wrote it, and I'm not a songwriter, so
Clearly.
I came up with this. Yeah, and I figured out here's what I'll do. I'll find songs I like. I'll match the rhythm of the words, and then not tell Will what the music was from or who did it, and give it to Will. And Will wrote some songs, and it came together really well. And Will's in there directing with it or conducting with his do rag and everything
Remember.
like that. And so I still haven't got residuals from Will. I don't know. I guess he just buried my name.
What
but
do-rag?
he
What's
moved
that all
away
about?
from it.
You know, it was an embarrassing moment in my life, honestly.
I heard Roman
You know, I guess nobody ever saw it because I never got a dime either.
But anyway, but you want to talk a bit about that, Will? Because you're here and how you're because Will's music is such an integral part of this show. It was like absolutely a heavy
No
metal
question
show.
about it.
The music drove
Oh, yeah.
everything.
No kidding.
Music drives everything. It's so
Amen.
important.
And so, Will, you want to
Yeah.
say anything? You're here.
Well, yeah, I think the score for the show is solid, and the show is terrific, and it stood the test of time. I was in Vancouver, BC, for the last 4 years, working on a different show. Was in a bar having a couple of beers, and the guy goes, "What do you do?" And I go, "You know, I write music for cartoons. I'm not, John Williams." He goes, "Well, what is something I want you to do?" Biker Mice from Mars. He stops me. Biker Mice from Mars? You're the composer. And I had to come back to the bar the next day and call him over and go, "Are were you like winding me up?" He was not winding me up. He
Yeah.
was serious about it. He was.
Oh, no,
just,
the fans
love.
out there are still devoted. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Just go online.
That is amazing.
You know,
They,
Oh, I
they've
had other
all,
friends
they've
on the
all
board.
forgotten about Rob Paulson for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but
well,
otherwise, you
I'll
know.
put Will on the spot. Dave, if somebody wants Will's signature on something, will we get it to them and they can get it out?
Yeah, we can get it to them and get it out. Yeah.
But we've got to find for that. We got to find the Biker Mice from Mars album that Will did.
I've got it.
That would be, I mean, first of all, it's a rarity. And to even get the album and then get it autographed by Will would be, would have some real value.
It was a great album. I listened to it just a while ago.
Me
I think
too.
we nailed the record. We made
Yeah.
a good record.
I agree.
You know, so,
Jeff
so
Scott Soto sang a lot of
Yeah,
that. He went
yeah.
on to sing for Journey and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about music. I mean, it's so important. And
Would
it's
you
ta-
look at what Rob's doing? What a showbiz move. He's
Look at that.
pretending he's signed so many autographs that he's out of ink.
I'm
What a
sorry.
showbiz move.
That's a
Gee.
fact for Rob. That's a fact for Rob.
No, but Dorian's right about
Fine,
the
I just
music.
have-
Ain't
Oh
that
yeah, the
right?
music is so important. I mean, just think, just try to imagine any of these things with no music.
Mm-mm.
Just like going into a movie theater and watching a movie with no music. It just doesn't work. It's
It's another character in the show.
That's it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
major
not-
character.
it's
And
not
And
a
Ant-
comedy.
major character.
when we were
With the
mixing shows-
animation, sounds everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, when we were mixing the first shows, Rick used to come to the mixes, and our decision was always, and I'm known for this, for pumping the music.
Yeah.
And even if the mixers are going, I can't really hear what they're saying that clearly. I go,
So what?
that's only Bob
Eh,
Forward.
so,
Who cares?
Who cares? It's only the actors.
Because music, in my mind, is the energy of limited
That's
animation.
right.
It
that's right.
drives, tells you how to feel, tells you how to
Absolutely.
act. It just drives it. And so
Yeah.
Will's music always did that. Will and I used to meet once a week or twice a week at 7 in the morning at his studio, and we go over it, and I give him bunch of notes, and Will was great at doing it. And he always
And
wrote-
then after that, Will would call me and say, "Would you get Tom T off of my ass?"
Yeah, well,
You know what? Tom was like the first producer I worked with on a show like this. It was like my first hit show. And
Wow.
I'm really glad of it because Everybody else after Tom was
It's been
eating.
easy.
Yeah, it was like, we'd be starting, it starts at an hour, right? Okay, let it run to 2 seconds, or a minute, I mean. All right, go ahead. Okay, let it run out to 8 seconds, and it go like that for 22 minutes. We'd have so many notes, and I would, my philosophy is honor the note. It's
Well,
not the Will Anderson show.
See, I have no musical knowledge at all, and my notes to Will were always, okay, well, what I want here is dun dun dun. No, I don't want. Dun, dun. I want, and Will always found a way to give us
And
something.
it's really hard to write dun dun dun
Yeah.
as a note.
That's
you
all
know?
I know. I don't know that kind of stuff. And the music was always just that was one of the thrills, was hearing what he came up with, and he was always new. And basically people that work in this field, we all complain about everything, right? And Will was one of the minimalist complainers.
Let's interject because Dorian's sending pictures to people.
Good.
Is it
You
the
do
right
that?
way? I hope I'm doing it the right way.
I'm slacking off here.
I'm a
I should
total
be
beginner
looking.
at
No,
this,
you're doing
yeah.
great. Here's one for Dave. Hello, Dave. You want an Animaniacs one? So there's hello, Dave. And Pinky's on here too. So he says, "Nerf." It's on its way to you. And somebody was kind enough to ask for Carl Weezer because this is about as good as it gets for him. Mr. Josh, are you going to finish that croissant? And apparently the answer is yes. So it's on its way. How
This
does
is
your
the-
dad
This
make
is
a
the
living?
superstar. I'm
But-
telling you, this
I-
guy,
No.
he's the Brando,
Oh,
the
please.
Yeah, but
So-
I have one question.
hero of
Who's
animation.
who's doing the Honda ads these days?
He's
Oh,
doing-
yeah.
Are you not doing that?
No, I did. That was a 7-year,
Oh, yeah.
Tom,
I know they canned your ass.
Tom made
They
it. Yeah,
can.
they did. Wouldn't be the first. Well, so did you. You know what? Tom made a very salient point about young folks out there who are interested, who are actors and watching this. That gig, Rick,
So if you're done with this side,
talk
you're
about
tap that side and I get all the
not
list.
eschewing an
okay.
opportunity when it shows up.
That's
You know what I mean?
right.
We're going, it's not a big
Okay,
deal.
you just simply
Maurice and I have been doing
This is the-
radio
this is when
stuff
I'm
for
finished
local
with this, I go to
Honda
the-
dealers,
Yep.
Southern California
Okay.
Honda dealers.
But it's
And
still
one
number
day,
3, even though I'm
The
saying 3
director
anyway.
of all the
I'm still
on-camera
supposed to
stuff happened to
put
be
3 on.
in the
No, you put
studio.
whatever number
And he said,
corresponds
"Hey,
there. So
Rob,
that's
we're
number
thinking about
4,
doing an
that's
animated
number 10.
character called
Oh,
Mr.
well,
Opportunity.
And I've screwed this up.
And we just
Oh,
want to
we'll
pitch it as a
figure it out.
pencil
They're all
test to
completely
Honda.
gone.
We don't have it in the
We'll figure
budget
it
to
So
pay you a
whatever
session
number.
fee,
Yeah.
but while you're here, would you
Oh, I
mind
can't
dot,
go
dot, dot?
Don't worry about
Now, I could have
Okay,
said,
got you.
understandably, I could have said, well, why don't you call my agent
know what I'm
and,
doing.
come back.
Okay,
The
fine.
chances are they probably wouldn't have called. They would have held a
Thanks.
giant audition because it's Honda.
Right.
Instead, I said, well, sure, I'll be happy to read it. So I read it, 7-year gig.
Of a national ad.
How
Wow.
about that?
That
Just
is-
because I didn't say, oh, no, you got
Right.
$300.
and
That is, I got to tell you, all kidding aside, that is a great lesson to anybody who wants to do what you do for a living.
Take
That's right.
What
advantage.
years were those?
That's right.
I'm sorry?
What year? I mean, there was kind of the 4 13-week cycles, all the union guys live for. It's the same for SAG, and it's kind of breaking up now. Is this like during those?
Well, this was, I've been a SAG after member since 1979, and all my fees were all appropriate SAG. The gig was already.
Right. I mean, that's a union gig, no doubt.
Right, but when it came to the audition, Jesus, under a normal circumstance, they would have probably auditioned 300 people.
Right.
Oh,
Say,
yeah.
Mr. Opportunity, dot, dot, dot. But I thought, well, I'm here. They wrote the script on a piece of paper in hand and said, by hand rather, and said, do you have anything that you want to throw in? I did a couple of ad libs. Guy called me a week later and said, I think you just paid for your kids' college. They love what we did.
That's
And you're the guy without having to go through an audition.
And not that anybody ever gets tired of listening to Rob talk about himself,
That's right.
but
I never did.
Sure doesn't.
I just want
I'm
to say,
Rob's sycophant. you know?
Okay.
Thank you.
what it is
You're the healthiest sycophant I've ever seen.
Jess Harnell, who was out there being productive in the world. There's
Yeah.
2 prints of his characters that we have. Evil Eye Weevil, which he did an Elvis thing. I always referred to Jess as our ace in the hole, not our asshole like we talked about Rob, but our
Yeah.
ace in the hole. And he, whenever we needed a voice, we didn't know who we wanted to do it. Or we thought we wanted a particular performance. Jess would come in. He played Sweet Georgie Brown. He played Evil Eye Weevil. And then he actually did some of Brad's voice in the second iteration of Biker Mice. So we have 2 prints. One of them is this Dr. Ketorkian, which is a dead-on Boris Karloff riff.
Yeah.
And then there's the Evil Eye Weevil. But maybe we should talk about Jim Ward for a second.
Please.
Because that's what this is about.
Well
And,
done.
and Jim came in, I've always known about Jim's work and, he's great. And we had to replace an actor because the actor became kind of unusable, moved to New York, wanted us to work with him there, couldn't do stuff. So we replaced him as a character. And we brought Jim in because I'd heard him on Stephanie Miller's show. And he's sitting there and he did this voice of this other actor just by listening, and he did it. And it was so dead on that these guys, Jess Harnell, who can also do a lot of voices, they're all sitting there just with their mouths hanging open. They couldn't believe Jim was doing this. They're going, oh man. And so what happened is then Jim became a part of the cast. And then Rick wrote an episode that of course I had to rewrite heavily, but okay, he wrote an episode. And what happened is he had a character that called the Crusher that could turned into, I think it was Dick Cheney at the time. I
It
think.
was.
And
yeah.
then Rick and I talked. I said, well, let's write all these other political figures because I have Jim Ward over here and he could do any voice you want.
Yeah.
So working with our designer, Bernie Wrightson, he designed Clinton, Nixon, Rumsfeld, Bush, Cheney, who knows who else. And the voice would just change. The character would change his face.
The head would spin.
Yeah, the head would spin.
Yeah, the head
The
spin.
character would change.
And that's
Jim-
what won him the Emmy, I think. It was
And-
remarkable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jim just effortlessly went from one voice to another.
Amazing.
Dead on. And so when it came to Emmy time, I'm looking around, I go, well, Biker Mice just isn't the kind of show these touchy-feely Emmy people give Emmys to. But Jim Ward, that performance,
Yep.
I'm gonna put him up for an award because what's he gonna be up against? And no disrespect meant to the show, what, Dora the Explorer?
Yeah.
One of Rob's hack jobs? Yeah, I think- and Jim ended up winning the Emmy for that.
Sure you did.
He
Yeah.
was such a sharp-minded individual,
Yeah.
so easy to
That's what
work
makes it
with.
so hard.
And he was
Yeah.
amazing. And that's what makes us sad that Jim's gone through. He's suffering. We're not talking out of school because it's been released.
Sure.
Is suffering from Alzheimer's. He apparently was starting to suffer from it, went to a memory clinic, got COVID 3 times, is my
Jesus.
understanding,
Mhm.
almost died, then came in, but now his memory is still going. And so this is what this is all about. We want to honor one of our
Brothers.
brothers
Yep.
and say, hey, we hang together and you were really important to this.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is all for here, all
Absolutely.
of this stuff.
It's another one of those, you have these a lot for some reason with this show, but you look at that episode and I'll go back and look at it and say, who else could have done this?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody else could have done this.
So get your checkbooks out, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom.
So
like-
here, let me this is Antonio. This is coming to you. And let me just say your note to me was very sweet and very much appreciated.
Yeah, somebody actually asked for my autograph.
Yep.
Oh my God, what were they thinking?
Oh, there was one here that said,
Are you going to use the big X this
Yeah,
time
one
or the
problem.
little X?
And so this is a very worthwhile cause and we hope everybody does it. And people have come out of the woodwork. Nancy Cartwright, the Simpson,
Yeah.
she wants to donate.
Nancy's
oh,
donating.
that's great.
People,
that's
all
great.
kinds of people are coming out of the woodwork because Jim, it just shows you, if you're a good person, people remember and they will rise to the occasion.
They'll support
If
you.
you're not good, you're like Rick Unger and you're exiled in Long Island somewhere, right? And that's what it is.
Yeah, this is where old cartoon makers go when nobody gives a crap anymore.
Right, that's
We
right.
come out to Long Island.
By the way,
Silver pen.
let me hold up a couple here. Erica, this is for you, sweetie. Throttle, it's on its way to you today. Evan, Evan, I just signed yours. We put it in the pile over there, but I promise I just signed it. Adam, oh, here we go. There we go, Adam, Evan. There you go, my friend. Thank you so much.
Well,
Adam,
that's the way you do it. Okay.
I've got a
just
couple
go like
here.
this.
Oh, Anne Marie. I think this is my friend Anne Marie Buckle, who is in,
Why do I know that name?
she's in Malta. She lives in,
Wow.
what do you have? What kind of meal do you have in Malta? A
Malta.
Malta meal.
Oh, my.
Malta me.
Now
This
it's
thing
an,
on?
it's an egg.
And you offer him some credit.
Yeah, that was called a bowel movement. Malta, Malta. So there you go, sweetie. Anne Marie, that's very kind of you. As always, you are just always so sweet. Now, there are a number of others here, you guys, as this was ostensibly about biker mice. There are a number of them here that are pictures that I don't have at the moment. Some of it is the Lauren Restivo prints that are just beautiful of Yakko coming out of the water tower. And I've got a Donatello one. And then I've also got Snowball from Rick and Morty. Adam, and this is how our fans like. Hi, Rob. Could you personalize this photo of Snowball by saying, "Where are my testicles, Adam?" I can. Adam, with all due respect, if you don't know, my friend, I'm probably not the gentleman to whom you should be asking that question. My point about those, though, is that I will do videos of me signing those and get them off to Dave so that you guys can have a video as well. I just don't have the pictures with me because I was planning on primarily Biker Mice stuff. So, all right, we're caught up and I will get you in just a moment. It's like
And I
having-
got a question for Mr. Streamily. Is he there?
Yes, Dave is
Okay.
here.
Dave, I got a request here. They want it signed by God knows why, Tom T and me.
Oh, geez.
So if I include it in what's coming back to you, you'll
Yep.
pass it along to Tom.
Absolutely.
I could put a sticker over Rick's name.
Yeah,
worry
we'll
about it.
cross
Yeah.
out your name, Rick.
That's probably what they wanted. They just couldn't find the place for Tom T on the order thing. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Yep, Tom will be happy to sign it here.
Yeah, and but as a part of the series, I don't know. I guess people want to know behind the scenes stuff, right? Okay, so
Oh,
we,
yeah,
we had
absolutely.
unparalleled freedom in this show. Rick was one of the
Sure
greatest
did.
guys I've ever worked with because he was open to stuff. We did, and nobody monitored us.
I was
right?
also, let me just throw into that. I wasn't just the executive producer of the show. I happened at the same time be the president of the studio. And that creates a lot of freedom.
You had to
Yeah.
sleep with yourself.
And so what
Wasn't
happened?
easy.
And we,
Who
but we,
hasn't?
but we never overstepped our bounds, except maybe one time, but we won't go into that.
No.
And
Which time? What did we do?
about
Oh, I know, a hospital in
worth-
Boston.
not worth
Yeah,
going into.
okay.
but it wasn't that bad. It isn't bad as
No,
now
right.
it's taken out of life to be. But we could do things like I remember there was one show. One of our writers was a guy named Jess Winfield.
Oh,
Okay.
sure, I know Jeff.
And Jess was a part of a company. He used to perform the abbreviated Shakespeare
Shakespeare.
Company.
Yeah.
Okay. And they would go around and they would
Jess
perform all
Winfield.
the Shakespeare plays in 2 hours,
Pretty amazing.
parts of it. It was amazing. So I thought, well, God, we have this guy writing for us. Let's do a show about Shakespeare. And it became one of my favorite episodes. And here's how it worked. Rick goes, no, we're not going to do that. Nobody's going to watch that. And they go, let me try. He goes, okay, but if this doesn't work, and just rose to the occasion. And part of it was we have Shakespearean actors. Morgan Shepherd was a Shakespearean
Sure.
actor.
Yeah.
Dorian was a stage performer.
I can spell Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Shakespeare fishing rod.
And we had all this stuff. And it came and we did it. It was called Rocketh and Rideth. And where the Biker Mice ended up going back to all the Shakespeare plays, or a bunch of them anyway. And then it's all done. It came out really well. And Rick's words were, damn, this is really good. You know what the problem is? I got to take credit for this now.
There you go.
By the way, just postscript, it was the lowest rated Biker Mice show in
So
history.
there-
Yeah. But but we had all kinds of freedom to do all kinds of stuff.
Just goes to show you, huh, Rick?
Yeah, see? You try and do good work.
The interesting thing about the industry is we did all this stuff. And then when I got done working at Marvel, because Rick and I worked together on Biker Mice, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, the Hulk, all these things. And I went to work for other studios. All of a sudden we're getting notes. I'm going, what's this? And people said, when we were at Marvel, we never got any notes. When I decided the show was finished, it was finished. It went on the air, right? Okay, we're
Right.
done. And all these other producers go, I can't believe that. I can't believe you guys used to do that. I go, it just seemed like the way to do it to us.
It was a point in time. And not a point in time that would likely ever come around again now. It just was the way it shook out, which was fortunate for all of us. It really was. It was a very unusual. Dorian, say who it is. Go ahead.
Valerie, this to Valerie. I'm still learning this. I've done about a
You're
bunch of
doing
them.
great.
And all I do is put it up like this.
You're putting it up
How
too
am I-
high.
how am
Tell
I
them who
doing
they
it?
are.
This is
Down,
Valerie.
down. Kind of like in front of your face almost, or under your face.
Out of here.
There you go, or under your
There you
chin
go.
even, or sort of. Yeah, there you go.
You
Yeah.
gotta realize,
Okay, Valerie.
you gotta realize when Dorian would record, we'd have to say, Dorian, the microphone's in front of you.
That's right.
So
It's
he
all-
needs a little help.
It's all a learning process.
But it was just to go back to that story. The whole way the Biker Mice thing happened was just an unusual moment in time. Very fortunate for me, very fortunate for everybody who was involved, I think, but mostly for me.
I told you, everybody whines. Everybody whines.
All my musician friends who were on the road used to say, Will, the most constant thing out here, because CNN was new at the time, I think, is that CNN and Biker Mice from Mars are in every single hotel we go into.
It's
There
true.
you go. Now you're talking.
I got a story about that. Now, you're right. It was at the same time. And you know, when you got a new show out, you're doing a lot of interviews. So I have a friend, I'm going to name drop here, and I get, those were still the days of text. It was before emails. And I get a text from a friend of mine who's a performer who is in the Philippines. And he says, I'm watching CNN and all I see is you, the big Megillah in Manila. It was Barry Manilow.
Oh my
All
gosh,
right.
fantastic.
Wow.
Outstanding,
Amazing.
man.
So see, yeah, CNN was that was the beginning of it.
I have a
That's
couple other ones
long
here.
time ago. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Rob.
This is, hang on a second. Tyler, here's yours, Tyler. Tyler the Smiler, rock and ride, pal. There you are. And we have several here that have no name, which it makes perfect sense because often people don't want anything personal. I totally get that. So I don't have anybody to whom I can say your picture's done.
Make up a name.
Right, make them,
This one is to Irwin.
right. Well, and-
Dorian, I've been checking out Rob. He kind of holds it right next to his face like this.
Like,
Oh,
okay.
Right? Yeah,
anytime,
that's his
anytime.
thing.
Yeah.
He's got the thing. right
Like this.
Yeah, you got it now. You're Rob Possum. Plus, you
Yeah,
block him
yeah.
out.
Yeah, but-
That's
Oh,
right.
so what I do is I hold it next to Rob.
Yeah, that's right. You put it over his face.
And we have Natalie's here in Salem,
Yeah.
our friend in New Zealand, or no, Tasmania, which
Ah,
also you worked at.
That's right.
It's the-
Come
the-
to
down in
Tasmania.
Tasmania,
Yeah,
down in Tasmania.
Yeah,
Dorian sang that with Jim
Yeah,
Cummings and
yeah,
Jess Harnell. And he
that's right.
also, Dorian was also sang the Pinky and the Brain
Pinky and
theme
the
song.
Brain. I was so much fun,
Isn't that cool?
especially with that orchestra and.
Oh,
Dorian
God.
sang that?
Yeah.
Police Orchestra.
I never knew that.
Pinky and the Brain.
Right.
I left a lot of cash on the
Which
table. I was
people-
doing national spots for Toyota. And after the vocalists would sing, this was called, they were called, what kind of units? Credit unit, or I forget, whatever. Anyway, they'd look at the composer and they go, do you want to come in and sing it? And I always go, well, no. But what they were doing is trying to give me 50 grand by having me on the contract as a singer because they did the house credits. That's what they were called at the time.
Yeah.
And it was a courtesy to extend the composer of the piece to come into the booth and just sort of ghost the vocal. So you
Right.
How
could
cool
get
is
it on.
that? No,
What?
that's fantastic.
And here's, once again, I just want to do a bit of shilling for,
That for,
this is the Luke Perry character again, the late Luke Perry, who did a great job as
Gone much too soon.
Napoleon Bree, the Motor City Maniac.
right, and he had
And
that
and
soft
and there
R.
just aren't very many of these cells around. He was only in several episodes. There aren't very many.
Great guy.
If somebody wants it, these guys will sign it. And Luke was a great guy to work with
Yep.
because
He
not only
was.
make fun of him with his face and his hair, because remember you said they have that stupid spiky hair up there
No ego.
and always the wrinkles in his head all the time. But so he did that, but also he came and go, oh, Luke Almighty Perry, huh? Okay, well, we're gonna have you talk like Elmer Fudd.
Mhm.
And he was game for it,
He
and
did
he
it.
went for it, and he
Yeah.
nailed it, and it was a great performance. So Luke is dearly missed. And last time, in the last iteration of Biker Mice, we had the character back in the show, and Luke was really busy. He was making some probably,
He's probably doing 8.5 seconds.
I
He
don't
did
know,
that
some
movie about
and he
the,
made time. He said, "Go, oh, you're busy." Well, he goes, "I will make time to
Oh, yeah.
come," and he
Good guy.
showed
was
up.
Delightful.
He showed up for the recording session. There was nobody nicer than Luke
Yeah.
Perry.
He always played really cool characters on TV. He was actually cooler in real life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
you're
nice. In fact,
Just a sweet guy.
there was one of the things that we noticed about everyone, whether it was Jason Priestley or Luke.
Yeah, Jason played some parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ian, Jenny Garth, all the nicest people. And Ian's gone, but I wanted to make that. I wanted to make he did something that was so much fun. I'm going to relate this story. You guys will love this. You may remember it, but it was a little more specific to yours truly. So this is cool. There was one Christmas where Ian gave everybody a silver plated 45 caliber bullet
Yes,
keychain, right?
yes.
It was not live. It was a really cool.
Tom didn't get one, so don't
Okay.
talk about it.
Yeah, well, Tom put them in his ears, which don't even get me started. So Luke, Ian shows up to work at Christmas, gives us all this stuff, and he had our initials emblazoned or scripted.
We call
on-
it engraved.
Right, engraved. Thank you. I like emblazoned with an engravement. Okay, so it was engraved with our initials. So he hands them out. He comes to me and he says, Rob, I have two left. One is SD for Shannon. I haven't yet been to work on the set of 90210, so I have Shannon's bullet keychain. And I have yours, which is blank because the guy wasn't able to get them all done. And it just so happens that yours was the one that didn't get engraved. And so he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. This was genius. He said, I will either take yours and get it done with RP, or I will give the blank one to Shannon because I'm not really that crazy about her. And you can have Shannon's that says SD and tell people you took a bullet meant for Shannon Doherty. And so I still have it.
That's great. That's great.
SD. So he said, I just don't really, you have a bullet meant for Shannon. So
Oh, my
That's very funny.
It's a good
That is
story.
Poor Shannon Doherty. No one liked her. By the way,
Yeah,
Matt, oh, go
Ray.
ahead, Dorian. You do yours. Go ahead.
You see it? To Ray?
why don't you
Come on
kind of
in.
do it? Dave's got some shout outs for
Yeah.
folks who are doing donations. Go ahead, Dave.
He's
Yeah,
actually the
I'll
best
kind of-
looking guy here.
Dip down here,
Yeah, that's easy.
Dorian.
Can you make it?
Sure.
And I just want to give a couple of shout outs to the lovely folks that are making donations that did list their names. I hope you're okay if I say your name on camera. But I just wanted to say thank you so much to Melissa Espitia. Melissa
Es- es-
Espitia.
Yeah, Espatia.
Espatia.
Right.
Melissa, thank you so much for your generous donation. That is just greatly appreciated. We appreciate it, and we know
Very
that
important.
that Jim and his family appreciate it very much. She says, sending lots of love. Let's rock and ride.
Let's rock and
you.
ride.
We love that. Thank you so much. We have lots of folks that are buying all of the original cells as well, which is very exciting. We have got more donations, and it looks like they're not saying their name. Here's another one. Santana Maynard.
Oh, we
s-
know Santana. She's an actress here in Hollywood. Thank you, Santana.
Santana, thank you so much. She says, just wanted to donate something, and your donation is absolutely appreciated. We appreciate your generosity. And then we got Brandon Johnston. So thank you very much, Brandon, for your donation. All of it is very much appreciated. Sarah, thank you so much for your donation. And then we've got Patty Smith. Happy to give for the great Jim Ward.
Amen.
Patty, thank you so much for your generosity. It's all so much appreciated. We have another donation coming in from Rick Hard Luck Jord. Rick, thank you very much for
Not
your
me.
donation.
Thank you.
All of your guys' donations, it's just so much appreciated. And many of you have donated and didn't include your names, and that's fine, but I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of this is just that your generosity is very much appreciated, and it will be going to such a great cause. So thank you. I'll let you guys continue.
Very
Okay.
kind.
And Matthew, this one's for you. You'll see it signed on one side by me. I'm sending it back to LA for Tom to sign the other side.
There you
So
go.
you'll have
Yeah,
that.
you're a hell of a guy, Ricky.
I am a hell of a
No.
guy, honey. Come on.
Okay, here's another guy we should remember here, Bob Forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
How this
yes.
happened is like I said, I sort of just got after pitching that main title to Rick and another
Yeah,
producer.
another-
I was in charge of the
Some
series,
people
and so
for
to
collective
produce it
purposes,
and
we
direct
don't
it,
want it
and I
for
brought in a
personal
writer, Bob Forward, that I had worked with at Filmation, who co-wrote the Brave Star movie I directed, and I'd worked with Bob a whole lot. And Bob came in and wrote
He wrote the pilot, the
he wrote the
two-part.
pilot, he became the story editor, and Bob and I always had a great relationship. And it was like, I have to say, a perfect melding of humor between Rick, Bob, and myself for the kind of testosterone-driven humor that Biker Mice had.
Yeah.
That was it very much reflects, as Rick had said earlier, about how dear the series was to him, because in a lot of senses, it was us, wouldn't you say, Rick?
No question.
It really
No question.
reflected that.
And you know, the other part too, Tom, and it was also us Biker Mice always worked on two levels. There was all that stuff there for the kids to enjoy, but then we couldn't help but stick all that politics into it. And I think the parents enjoyed that.
Tell them about Limburger's haircut.
Well, tell them who Limburger actually was. This is something that people don't believe me when I say it these days. Lawrence Limburger, show a picture of him, was an amalgam of two real people. One of them was Ronald Reagan. The other was Donald Trump.
You're kidding. Earl,
No.
that early? That
Yeah,
early?
because if you remember, Limburger was a planet stripper. He
Yeah.
would strip
yeah.
planets and develop real estate. And I hated Donald Trump going back all those years.
Well, you knew.
So
Camera.
never could I have known what would happen to the rest of us because of him. And then when Tom and I did the second incarnation of it, we didn't even bother with Reagan. The bad guy was Ronaldo Rump. So
Oh, really?
that was still before Trump decided to become a politician and be Hitler.
Why did everybody?
Sorry
flee
if
the room
anybody's
when we
watching
started
who's a
talking
Trump
about
fan. I
this?
shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah.
Everybody fled the room, Rick, when you started.
Yeah.
I mean, historian, that's it. I mean, oh, no, it looks like Tom. made
I'm
it.
here still, I'm still here with you, Rick.
I
I'm
know
here.
Tom's still there because he still listens to my radio show. God knows why.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was so there was there was a lot going on. There was also a subtext in the show. Rick, we had the political stuff that was going on, but the mandate was we always had to have likable characters. They
Yeah.
couldn't be
Right.
jerks. They were
And
guys
nobody could die.
with.
Yeah.
It was real important. And here's an interesting story. Well, when Rob comes back from, I think he's got groupies out front. It's
He's doing another show. Doing another
Rick
show.
Rick and I had to go to a Special Olympics. It was in West,
Right.
and to sign, but Biker Mice was popular, and so we went there to sign posters and stuff. And so we're there, and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria are like over here arguing about, I don't know what they were doing, but anyway, they were over here,
Yeah.
and we're signing stuff. And all of a sudden, all these kids, and Rob will be able to, this is important to Rob and me particularly. These kids with Down syndromes are coming up to me, and they love the show. And so
Yeah.
I'm signing it. And so I started asking, so what do you like so much about this show? And they say, what it came down to was because the characters are like me. And I go,
Uh-huh.
what do you mean they're like, I'm putting a bunch of people together here, but it's like, I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. And the Biker Mice aren't perfect. And I thought about it, I go, oh, Moto's got a mechanical arm. He's missing an eye.
That's right.
Rob is blind. Vinny has half a face. They're in essence sort of handicapped characters.
Interesting.
And so I started realizing how really important that was. So now that Rick and I have been working on, we're trying to do Biker Mice again, there's a group in there that we put in there that are about characters that are challenged. And we want them to be genuine parts of the show.
Yeah.
And it was something we kind of stumbled on. Neither of us, I don't think, was smart enough to know that we were doing that kind of thing. But like a lot of filmmakers, we stumbled into it. We
Yeah.
kind of take credit. So I'm letting that horse out of the
Oh,
bag. Right?
that's just-
But Rob can speak to you about people he signs and he meets at conventions.
Oh, it's astonishing. In fact, in that vein, the late great Rene Aubergenois told me a really wonderful story about all the folks at Star Trek to go to Star Trek conventions, and we were discussing that very thing about isn't it fascinating how deeply people connect with these characters, and it is often folks who are challenged. And lately, because we now have a name for it, it's often folks on the autism spectrum.
Mhm.
And Renee told a story that absolutely lit me up in the most glorious way. He said he used to kind of take it for, well, I like going out because I like meeting the people, but frankly, I'm kind of shocked that they're that interested. He was kind of, and by his own admission, a little laissez-faire about the experience. He was about the work, which we all are. We don't make our living going to conventions,
Right.
but now it's something I can't get enough of.
Yeah.
And Renee experienced the same sort of experience. Yeah. And he said, I went to a convention I think it was New York Comic Con, and it was a really big one. And I met a young woman who was on a gurney. She was about my age. And he said, I believe she was probably what people my age remember a problem with a drug called thalidomide, which pregnant women were given in the 50s and 40s, 50s, and 60s to help them with morning sickness, but it had often
Deformed
horrible
a lot of people.
side effects.
Yeah.
It's no longer used,
Yeah.
but they often would talk about thalidomide babies, and this young woman apparently was one of them.
Mm.
But she said essentially the same thing. She made sure that she got a chance to speak to Renee and said, thank you so much for coming, because you will never know what it means to us to feel like we're not aliens everywhere we go.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
said, I'm now, I think she was in her 30s. Mind you, folks, she spent her whole life on the gurney,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
that's how she will end it.
Yeah.
But it was her courage who allowed her to say to Renee and gave him this incredible epiphany to say, I always feel like an alien. Always. I'm used to it, but children turn away from me. Parents grab their children and say, come on, sweetie, don't make fun of me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when I meet someone whose life on screen is someone whom I can relate to in a physical sense, it's everything to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how on earth can we quantify what a compliment that is to what we do? You tell that woman the Star Trek is just some goofy TV show, or the young Down syndrome child that Biker Mice is just a goofy cartoon
Yeah.
show. You tell the parents of an autistic kid who becomes verbal because he learned United States, Canada, Mexico,
Yeah.
Panama.
Yeah.
You tell them it's just some wacky cartoon show.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
no,
big
there's
deal,
there's
Well-
so much more to it.
isn't it?
And-
Man,
And now Rob's gonna go off and join the seminary.
that's right.
I think Rob has always had an inkling to join the seminary, if you ask me.
Well,
Yeah.
people say to me, Jesus, what are you doing? All the time. I mean,
He's
No,
doing-
the impact, Tom, I remember that. It was at UCLA and we did that for Bobby Shriver.
yes. I remember.
And it was remarkable. I mean, it stayed with me. I have, for some reason, it must be a past life, but I have a very serious soft spot for kids with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
There's something very special about them. And boy, I remember that day. And yeah, I mean, these kids totally related.
Yeah.
Well, that's why in this new thing we've got, there's this group, and the mice are on Mars, and I call them the 30 dozen. Not that there's 360 of them, but I like the way it sounds.
Mm.
But there's on the spectrum, blind, deaf, crippled, and not pandering. We want them to
No.
be meaningful parts of these shows,
Right.
showing how characters like this, not every episode,
Right.
but when they contribute, they aren't going, "Oh, gee, you're the one in the wheelchair, huh? What can you do?" It's just
No.
they do their thing. They're
Yeah.
just part
yeah.
of the
They
fabric. of the
have
show.
a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's really that's probably my major goal in wanting to do this. I think this is what should be done.
Yeah,
We should
yeah.
do something like this and get it out there. And that's part of the whole building, what we built into the series. And but just as I guess I'll tell that story. The one part that we misstepped was we had written Bob Forward had written a line for character Carbuncle. This mad doctor had a huge head.
Yeah.
Real big head.
Silo.
Yeah, funny. And he said, and Limburger, who is nothing but a jerk. Okay, he's Donald Trump. And did that lose us any sales here? It is
I've already called him a Nazi.
it is
so,
Yeah,
it called him a hydrocephalic head case, and we just moved on.
Sure.
We didn't think it sounded kind of funny. We moved on. All of a sudden, some lady wrote Rick, and Rick, to his credit, said, "We gotta go back in. In opening a show again after it's been put out there is not the easiest
deal.
or the cheapest thing to do."
Yeah.
And we changed that, and we put it out, and we never misstepped again
Isn't that
because
great?
that was like a
That's good.
shining light.
It also cost some money in a donation to a hospital in Boston. So
See,
But
that's,
you listened, but
you-
you,
you had to, you
did.
had to listen.
I mean,
yeah.
how many people don't listen?
That's the
That's
thing.
the thing.
it's where,
You grew.
we are literally using the technology that plays into the axiom that we are all in this together.
That's
We're
right.
using this technology right now.
Yep.
And we have people from Tasmania, from the UK, from Malta.
Yeah.
We're in LA. Ian's over there. You're in New York. We are literally, Will is helping us out. We're all together.
Yeah.
And especially with what's happening vis-a-vis COVID, et cetera, we really are all in this together.
Yeah.
And shame on us if we don't take the time to listen, just like you did, Rick. The fact that you and Tom went
Right.
back and opened literally that can of worms
Well,
and fixed it.
You don't do this to hurt some poor kid's feelings. That's for
course not.
sure.
No.
I mean,
So, but here's the question I do have. Where's everybody from Finland? You guys don't know
Yeah.
this, but in the nation of Finland, Biker Mice is
What?
still on a per capita basis, Biker Mice is still the most successful toy in the
Oh.
history of Finland.
You're
So
kidding.
where are they?
Jiminy. Well, they're all drinking aquavit. Is what they're doing. The
That's
land of the midnight
amazing.
sun. I think we got to go do.
That's
We got to go
amazing.
do a convention in Helsinki. and
I'm
see
all for it. Let's just go in the summer.
Guys from Mars stuff. Let's go. Have a blast.
That's amazing.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You and by the way, I know you and Tommy have been talking about, rebooting the show over and over again. Do you find that Tom's been kind enough to include me in a couple of different pitch meetings at the usual suspects here in LA.
Well, he's not being kind. He figures you'll help, but so
Well,
far you've been
Help
useless.
with a small age, but let me ask you that, do you guys
Capital M for marquee value.
Yeah. Well, all of you guys who do this pitching for a living, because Dorian and I are primarily hired guns.
Yep.
So do you guys find that the landscape has really changed in terms of
You need to ask that question of Tom. I have a very different life now, as you know. I have had virtually nothing to do with it. Tom is the one who's been out there really trying to make it happen again.
Well,
Well, you can-
actually, you can answer how it used to be because I wasn't that involved in how you got it going, sold it. But what it is now, it used to be, I remember when I was working at Filmation and stuff, how you used to do a show is you develop a show, you trundle off to New York with some art under your arm and talk to
Right there.
Fred Silverman. And Fred Silverman would go, I'll buy that one.
Right.
Close. Now it tends to be a lot of committee work, a
Mm.
whole lot of committee work. Okay, well, we have to take it to our people talk about it. You very rarely get to the person that can just go yes
Yeah,
or no. And then when you get an answer, which is 1,000 times out of one,
Time. New World was struggling. They had lots of money. They had Ron Perlman's money. He owned the company, but they had the Wonder Years, and that was now off the air. Marvel Studio, Tom was there before me. They had been pretty busy. They were doing what, Fraggle Rock or
yeah, I worked on that show on
okay.
NBC. Yeah.
When I got there, everything went off the air. So they were pretty anxious. So my ability to bring a toy company to it made a huge difference. And then the other big part of it was I went overseas with it to the MIPCOM thing, right? And I can't do much in this world, but I can do a really good live presentation. And I got all the European broadcasters all hot and bothered about it. I had them convinced it was going to be the next Turtles, right? And that's really what got New World to want to make the investment in a syndicated show. And that was the way to do it back then.
Yeah.
Now it's totally different. I could never get away with any of that today.
No,
It's
in fact,
time.
the number of times that I would go in and right up front, as an actor, you're reading for a show that's guaranteed 65 episodes on the air, guaranteed. So you're looking at 2 years worth of work, plus ADR, plus post
Mm.
on one show.
Right.
Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain are both back on Hulu. The buy is never more than 13, ever.
Yeah. That's
And-
it.
No, it's different now.
yeah,
And
well,
you know what Rob used to do, speaking of how you sell a show, once we got it on its feet, we still had to get it on to stations in the United States. So we would go to the NAPTY convention to do that, right? And I would get these guys coming in who were station managers. And my first question to them would be, you got kids?
There you go.
You have kids. And I'd say, how would your son like to get a call from one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on his birthday?
Oh, yeah.
And
Did it
hero time, right? Of course it worked.
Yeah.
And Rob would call, say, yeah, I was hanging out with your dad so-and-so in the sewer, and he told me it's your birthday, and you got a kid there flipping out, right? Because it's a real turtle. That made a big difference.
I'm so
to
glad.
to show you how it's changed, Rob comes to me on pitches, and part of that was Rick referred to it earlier
Yeah.
because Rob always said he wanted to be more involved in creativity and stuff, and he was good at it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, hot shot. If this is what you want to do, I'll give you a chance. I'll make you my pit, my
Yeah.
producer in training.
Yeah.
I'll show you how, here's what we're going to do. And so Rob has been coming to pitches, but here's how different it is. And you fans of Rob Paulson and Doran and Ian can certainly appreciate this. Imagine these guys doing a pitch to you and performing for you. Rob comes to some pitches and you have some people there and we do this pitch. And for this one series I've developed, and Rob actually sings a song in person to these people and they sit there like this, like we put a turd on the table or
Oh,
something.
you're kidding.
No,
No sense of humor.
It's like, there's nothing wrong with enjoying this. We have
Yeah.
Rob Effin Paulson here
That's right,
singing a
that's right.
song for you
Right.
in person.
What's
And they-
wrong with you?
That's how different it
They
is.
just- yeah,
So
they-
like a phone
they
call
don't
worked
get it.
then, now they just go, "Oh,
They just don't get it.
Oh,
It-
And
it's-
it's, everybody said it was corporate back then, nothing compared to what it is now.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
true.
you're
And
right.
but, I mean, there's so much product. I don't know how you get somebody's attention.
I
that-
know.
Yeah,
My
that's the
God,
thing.
how many animated series
Yeah.
are there on Hulu, Amazon, Netflix?
Yeah, well, think about it. I mean, back in our time, when I would get the ratings, if we had less than an 8,
Yeah.
rating in the kids market, I wanted to go slit my throat.
Now, one is good.
Now, if you get a 1, you're a hero. Exactly. You're
and
getting
part of-
reordered.
And part of the landscape now, what makes it rough is we're in the age of corporatization. Disney owns a network. They
Right,
have their own studio.
Right.
Universal owns an animation
Right.
studio. DreamWorks, they have their own network.
They don't need us.
They all
Yeah.
own stuff.
Yeah.
Netflix has their own animation studio.
Yeah.
Amazon has their own broadcasting. They have their own.
That's all vertical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
But
so-
Rob is sitting there and Dorian's sitting there going, I don't give a crap. Their check's as good as anybody else's.
Yeah, except that,
It's a lot more fragmented. though.
yes.
Dorian, are you still doing a lot of voiceover?
It's just a
No, I
NBC,
do
right?
NBC. I do.
He's the
I
guy.
do
I
NBC.
do
Yeah,
NBC.
Wait, are you? Wait. Are you the voice
It's
of
all the
NBC?
drama on
I do all
NBC.
the drama stuff. on
All of it, for
NBC.
what?
Really?
Years now,
Yeah.
He's the guy that you
I've been
hear.
doing it for 13,
Yeah.
13 years. He's been doing all the drama. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I
But
said,
it-
Dorian,
Dorian,
I
uh,
may,
yeah,
I
no,
may
wait,
be,
good one.
I may
Dorian,
be white, but you can still adopt me. It's okay now. you know?
Dorian,
oh
Dorian,
my God. the very
Dorian,
I've already got
special-
3 of you in my family. No.
Dorian,
Oh,
you
I see.
special episode of Vikings.
Yeah.
Here's
You
live
filled
from
your quota.
I don't even know if I can do it. I don't even know. what to
Tonight,
do.
on a very special episode of Biker
What is
Mice.
it? Should I do it in my
Yeah, do it
This Is Us voice or my SVU?
This is, or do it on your, do it in your
SVU.
heavy duty SUV.
SVU,
Yeah,
if I
SVU.
can, I don't even know.
Right.
Your This Is Us voice is
Okay, so,
tearjerker.
hey, listen,
Tonight on Biker Mice. Biker Mice from SVU.
All right, wait,
Still has a big-
let's have another one of these telethons to raise money to get Dorian to do that on NBC.
yeah.
I told him I'm getting tired of watching all these lousy shows that he keeps talking me into watching.
Well,
And
and
I don't
also,
watch it myself. I just do
Hey,
them.
wait, they might be watching.
It
Dorian.
doesn't matter. They already know.
and
They
Some
know
of
Dorian-
that, I mean, the This Is Us stuff is like tearjerker
No.
stuff.
Dorian is a world-class singer. Dorian opened for
I
Gladys,
knew that. For who?
for Gladys Knight.
You did?
Yeah,
I didn't
opened
know
for-
that. I knew you were a great
Yeah,
singer.
Oh,
I toured with the Four Tops. I was in.
he's the
Really?
real deal,
Yeah,
baby. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And my wife to this
That's
day,
my first love.
I told my wife, yeah, mine too. I'm a
Yeah,
singer first.
yeah.
And my wife knew that I was going to come and hang with you guys today. And Dorian, she said, please give my love to Dorian. It's so disturbing to me that this handsome guy comes into my life after a couple of years and she says, make sure you give Dorian my love.
I had the greatest times I've had was singing with Rob on these,
Aren't
on
these
some of
great?
these things. Yeah, different.
I didn't know that was you. I got to get caught up, man. I didn't know it was you singing on all that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Dorian
do a lot
sung
of
the
different
Pinky and the Brain theme. He
singing.
sung the
Yeah.
Tasmania theme.
Yeah, in fact,
Ah.
my son reminds me of a lot of different ones that I've sung on that I don't even remember
Mhm.
doing, but
No, man,
they're a
it's,
lot of fun.
it's pretty incredible. And honestly, Rick, you guys and Will and I remember clearly working at Will's home and working on a couple of demos for songs for the show. I think it was
Right.
on the rock opera thing.
Yeah.
And you guys were always so encouraging and really wanted us to come up with our own stuff. In other words, it was the a collaborative effort in the truest sense.
And that was so we didn't have to.
Thank you. But it was not about, it was not about, oh, no, this is what I wrote.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
about,
no,
hey,
no.
whatever you got, let's try it. And when you're working with a world-class composer and people who have built their life on what's coming out of their brain and their fingers and stuff, to be able to put that aside and say, oh, I think he's got something here.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
it's true.
Really appreciate.
I never knew any other. Well, I mean, keep in mind, and I'm being serious. I had never really done this stuff before. I
Okay.
thought I could do it, but I certainly didn't have enough confidence that I was going to be telling you guys, no, it's got to be my way or the highway.
Well,
You
it
took
was
the lead.
certainly an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And obviously the proof is in the pudding. The
Yeah.
fact that we have our sweet friend Jim Ward who's struggling and all these people come out.
Yeah.
The truth is that.
Have any of you guys been able to go see Jim?
No,
No,
And would he know who you were if you
I-
did?
apparently, look, I don't want to, I
yeah.
don't know.
Have you spoken to his wife?
His wife said Jim just, his memory's kind of gone.
Right.
He's
Right.
happy, he plays guitar, he likes people, he
Oh,
Good.
harmonica, but his
That's right.
memory's gone.
Yeah,
got
I don't want to say that's gospel because I just don't know.
No,
for sure.
sure.
But
sure.
a little story about on the bike race, how it started was like I was talking about Bob Forward, and he wrote the pilot. And so I was working on the designs. There was another producer with the show.